Welcome back to another episode of the Jackie Service Show. I got to be honest, it's not every day I get to sit across from my own mentor and coach and record an episode.
And friend, Jackie. You're my friend. Yeah. I'm a
I
big fan of
know.
Jackie, so it's an honor to be here.
Dan Martell, welcome to the show.
I'm excited.
I got to be honest, there's no other way to start the show than to say thank you. This was a year ago. I was with you, just over a year ago.
Yeah.
We were in this building, not in this room. The studio did not exist.
Nope.
And I have to be honest with you that the version who's here today is very different than the version who was here a year ago. And your influence and just the proximity to you has really changed the standard of my life.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. It's an honor to be here with you.
It's fun watching you. I told you that from day one. You've got the it factor. Yeah, you got it. So I just love seeing people do more of the thing I know that lights them up, that is going to help the most people in the world. So if I could help in any way, it's always been it's a pleasure.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was thinking about this conversation, and there's lots of different directions I could have gone. And as I was, you talk a lot about dropping in and listening to your heart.
Yeah.
So I did that, and I was like, what do I really want to talk to Dan about? And what kept coming up time and time again was the process of becoming this version, becoming the next version, just this unfolding of who's sitting here today, who was the Dan a decade ago, who will the Dan be in a decade. It's just a fascinating conversation to me. And as I started to think about that process of becoming through my own lens and through different quadrants that I look at my life in, one of the reasons I love working with you and finding you as a coach was such divine timing and such a gift to me was because these 4 quadrants are something I find that you have depth and you excel in. And I would say that I've had coaches who were maybe a physical, like they helped me with my physical, or I had somebody that would help me with my mindset, or somebody that would help me in my spiritual realm. There's very few people in the world that have a dynamic combo like you do. And so I'd love to explore kind of 4 core things with you today and talk about philosophies, your process of becoming this version of you, and just a little bit more of ask some questions about them.
Well, I'm a fan of talking about myself, so no, just kidding. It's neat because my philosophy in life is just to teach what's worked for me.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you even picked that up because some people know me as the software guy or the business guy, but there's obviously more parts to it.
And that's where don't get me wrong, man, you are one of your mind and business works and operates like I've never seen.
Thank you.
And the fun is there's so many podcasts people can listen to do that. What I wanted to talk about is really this element. I kind of call it 4 quadrants of my life that I shape my life through, which is the physical element of self, the mental element, belief systems, emotional element, and then something bigger than myself, a spiritual element.
Yeah, let's go.
And so those are kind of the 4 layers I'd love to dive into.
Cool, let's go. Let's do it.
Start with the physical.
What do you want to know?
Well, so I go on, when I'm on Instagram and I go to Dan Martell's page, every day there's a video, photo of you in the gym working on the physical.
Every day.
And there's a quote that says, "The pump is the cure."
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I mean, there's a lot of different philosophies around that, but because the other one I share quite often is exhaust the body, tame the mind. And it all falls into the same thing is I work out first and foremost for my mind. The workout isn't a desire to have an aesthetic. I think, it depends, different phases of my life. Obviously, when I was a young single man, that was probably the most motivating factor is,
Fair.
Be attractive to people you want to be attracted to you. But it was, over the last 15 years, it's occurred to me that I have never not felt better after working out. And it's funny because it's not even like a massive workout. Even if I went to the gym, I walked through the doors, I absolutely didn't want to go, which has happened a lot. And I got on the treadmill and all I did was just walk, incline, and got a sweat on. Even if and then turned around and walked out. 20 minutes, like I've done that dozens of times. There's just something about breaking a sweat, doing something you didn't want to do, even if it wasn't hard. Some people are like, whatever. It's to me, it's deciding, even if my mind is saying I don't feel like it, I'm going to do it anyway. And that's what I've learned over the years is I don't allow my feelings to dictate my actions, because my feelings are not a good guide to life. I think that I've learned over the years, if I feel sad and I go help somebody else, I feel happy. So same thing with working out. It doesn't matter how I feel, I go, I work out, and sometimes like today felt great and absolutely just literally just got back, just got a great workout in with my trainer and my brother. And it was just, that's what the pump cures all. It's why we have a gym here in the studio. Is anytime I'm talking to one of the guys and they're just in a funk, we'll go do an arm set. It's just like, it can be that simple. It can be 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Just like go to the point where it hurts.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to make you do 3 more. Like Sam does this all the time, who runs my media team. I mean, we'll be working out legs and he'll say 5 more, like at the end, like max.
When you're done.
Oh, I'm talking like could barely
shaking.
get the last rep. Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Soul left my body. And he goes 5 more. And somehow magically with a 15-second, not even 15-second, 5-second, like little pause.
You have it.
Yeah. So and then when I stand up, I just feel so, I don't know, expansive. And I think that's the feeling that I get from working out, is this lightness, expansive energy, and the pump cures all. Yeah. We always say, we have it on our wall, prioritize the pump, just to make sure that people understand that's important to us as a team. And it's core to my life. I mean, it's what we do with our kids and my wife. And yeah, that's what it means.
Thanks for sharing. Yeah, it's interesting to hear philosophy and like where that came from. And obviously I'm hanging out with you right now in a fitness program because you've gone before us. And one of the things you do, which I love and respect so much, is you do it first and then you share it with the world.
If it's good.
Yeah, if it works,
that's the thing is like I've been doing triathlon and Ironmans and ultras and all this stuff for, 8 years, CrossFit, 10 years, 15 years. I didn't decide to share it. It was literally the new style of training that absolutely changed everything for me, where I was just like, okay, my trainer's awesome. He just doesn't have a platform. I'm gonna support and getting this message out there, and it's been a game changer. I mean, my brother just worked out with us. He started it 3 weeks ago and just transformed his body. It's awesome. He looks so good. So my dad this morning at breakfast was like, maybe I should get on it. And I'm like, Dad, you look so good. And he's just like, yeah. And again, being around other people doing it just makes it easier, right?
I'm traveling, obviously, here in Kelowna this week from outside of Toronto. And I showed up and have a peer group who is doing this with me, who is literally meal prepping for me because they want us all to win.
Everybody wants to see everybody win.
Right? It's such an incredible just space to be in when people just want the best for you and they want to see you win.
Yeah, sometimes I think the team got me to start it because they want to walk around here in singlets, because they'll do that. It is kind of funny. Like,
because everyone is
they're jacked.
Like incredibly fit in this place.
Yeah, if they could wear nothing, they probably would. I've seen 2 of them have one-on-ones once, and I was like, okay, guys, if we didn't have a fitness program, that would probably be inappropriate, the fact you guys are dressed like that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny, but true to our culture, when you join the team, you have to do the cleanse, which is not an easy
16
feat.
days,
Yeah,
lots
16
of eggs,
days.
grapefruit, tomato juice.
Yeah, you end up building a love affair with grapefruits if you hate them,
or
get over your issue with tomatoes. But that's just
it
like
works.
average person loses 14 pounds in 16 days. That's average.
20.5. And have been trying like 200. I went back and looked at it because I was actually curious. So, swam at an elite level, had twins, struggled to lose weight post twins. Everyone told me I had hormone issues, and there's a lot of stories and narratives that showed up around identity for me. And like for the last 7 years, 250K in trainers, nutritionists, functional docs, whatever, going to the US, out of Canada, whatever it was, I was doing it. And you sent me a DM one day. I was like, yo, I love you. And I think you should come and do this with me. And I remember that moment so well because it felt like you knew I needed it.
Oh my God. You get me emotional. Sometimes when I get these messages on my heart, I'm so scared. I was super scared. I was like, Jackie's either going to hate me or she's going to understand it. And I was so happy that Cause like you like, it's kind of weird that a dude,
is
you know what
messaging me on a Saturday night.
It says, and be like, hey, I think this could be your next level and your unlock, right? And it changed, and then there's no reason. Like, you know, I was talking to Renee, and I was like, I really feel called to message her, and she's like, if you do, you should, and I did, and it's kind of cool when those come to me and I message people, and it's just because I wish somebody would do that for me. Like, I just wish people. Yeah, it's kind of there is a lot of people, you know, Mike Brown, our mutual friend, like he's one of them that will hold me to a higher level, and I appreciate in different aspects. So like, I just think that's a cool place we can get to in life when our friends literally like care about us from a place of, hey, I think in this thing you could be doing better, and I don't know what's coming up for you, but I kind of see more, and just tell that to us. Most people don't have that. So I'm just really glad you replied and engaged the way you did, because you could also told me to pound sand, and that would have been absolutely appropriate. So
no, you have that gift of seeing people, and like that's how I have felt since day one of meeting you, is just seen, and that is such a gift that you give people, and you don't always get to see that. You don't always see the ripple effect of what you're doing day to day. I'm on a call with you every week for the last year, and I get to see how you interact with people, and it's the conversations that are happening between those calls where you're seeing transformation happen.
Yeah.
And you gave me a gift. You gave my kids a gift. You gave my relationships a gift. And like just getting started 6 weeks in, like we're just getting started, which is so fun. And
it's kind of nuts. A year ago, almost to the day, I worked out with my brother. And at that time, he was like a lot stronger than me. And it was actually a bit of a wake up call for me, because like, you know, we're genetically same parents, you know, so like it shouldn't be that big of a discrepancy. But again, he put in the time and the effort into the gym. And then I decided kind of December to go through a full body recomp. And then I saw him in March. And between last summer and March, he kind of went the other way. So when he saw me in March, he was like, yo, dude, what are you doing? And, you know, but I'm a lighthouse. I don't push it. I just live my life. I'm meal prepping. Everybody's going out to restaurants. And then probably a month ago, he texted me and said like, hey man, send me the link. Like, I need to do this. And then seeing what he's pulled off in like 60 days is crazy. Like, he's ripped.
It's almost instant. And that was,
and he's strong.
It's so cool.
Yeah. Oh, but I beat him. Sorry, I gotta say that.
I
absolutely crushed him. Not by a lot, by like 15%. But you know, you give him another month, and because again, progressive overload. Like he never trained. Like even we went and trained with Alan, my coach, and he's like, dude, I've never trained like this. And I go, well, that's where the 10-15% is going to come from. You know, so now you got a taste of it. I guarantee he's going to go back and just go savage. So next time
I gave
will be a little bit more even.
My trainer is now following Alan's program and uses the same language because watched your YouTube video.
Yeah.
And will now
what
say
do we
to
call,
me,
sorry, Sam, what do we call that video? Project Visible Abs.
Project Visible.
Yeah. So I don't even know what it's called. People are like, where's the video? So yeah, I guess if you want to get
we'll
abs.
link it up. Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to get abs in 90 days, do this.
He's not kidding. Like it's insane. Just the transformation. And that was what was the most motivating part of the cleanse is, you know, you go through a day of drinking tomato juice, you step on the scale, and it's like, fuck, that's 3 pounds. Okay.
Yep.
And you're like, okay, I'm going to go do it again. Another 3 pounds. And it's just this constant, like, I like to see progress. I think any human being likes to see some sort of, I like to see points on the board. I'm a sports girl, so I like to see that we're winning. And it was instant.
But that's what's unique about the program and why we design it that way is I need to get people massive wins. Yeah. Because like if they don't, then they don't. You know what I mean?
You don't get the buy-in. You don't get the
I get the hook.
Yeah.
Once they get to finish the cleanse, they're like, all right, I trust you. What's next?
Yeah.
And then we follow the meal prep, and then we do the thing, and then all the mindset stuff that comes up with that, and like oh my gosh, like, are you telling me I can't eat with my family? I'm like, I'm not telling you that. I'm saying you got to prepare. Like, you can't. This ain't carpe diem. Like, you can't look like 2% of the population and act like everybody else. Like there's like a correlation to extraordinary results and trying to be ordinary. There is an extra, but I don't know. I kind of have fun with it. Like, I don't mind asking for a hotel to put a fridge in my room and a microwave and you know, doing a little planning and, you know, coming back healthier from
That's
a
right.
vacation. What a crazy concept.
Yeah. Hubby and I went to Greece in the middle of the cleanse. We had 4 days left.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was,
Is he doing it with you?
he did the cleanse with me.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. And he's wants to get in the body recomp because he's, you know, similar. He's sitting right around like 12% body
He'd be-
fat and he
yeah.
wants to just recomp it
Yeah,
now.
yeah, he's got
Because
that.
he leaned out
Yeah,
after the cleanse because he's like, I'm not going to cook steak while you're eating grapefruit.
yeah.
So like, let's just all eat with you. We'll do
That's
it.
cool that he did that because some
Yeah.
people don't. It's a little harder, but I mean, it's,
It was really helpful actually at my house.
oh, 100%.
My kids started eating hard-boiled eggs with us because they're like, "This is on your list. I want to eat it too." So it just changed our whole dynamic in our
Super
house.
cool.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome. Last question in this bucket: why do you think we lose our health in pursuit of wealth?
I think what happens is, and the truth is, doing anything hard requires focus. And creating wealth is, it's really hard. Like I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, it's easy. Step 1, 2, 3, you're rich. No, it requires, but what's funny is that it's not hard. It requires you to decide you need to change. Like there's no way somebody that is broke could be rich if they don't change.
Yeah.
Because who they are is causing the broke environment. The change is internal. The change is requiring to be more patient. The change is, you know, working through some of the way you respond to situations because, you know, I've seen people lose their whole business because they overreact. And it's like, do you want to be right or do you want to win? Like that to me is the question. It's like, if you want to win, then let your ego go to the side. So what happens is most people are having such a hard time with making the business work that everything else has to take a second seat to it. And it doesn't have to be that way. It's just they don't know better. But the truth is if you can get on a simple plan, like, I mean, just simple sweat every day. Like,
That's right.
just
That's how it started in Elite is
Yes.
45 minutes move every day.
Yeah. Yeah. It's part of our
That
5
was
daily
part of,
non-negotiables. Yeah.
you know, what-
because
what
I
we're
knew
up
how
to.
important it was
Yeah.
to build momentum. Momentum is one of the most powerful forces in the universe. If you can get into momentum and stay into momentum, most people think motivation is how we succeed. It's not.
No.
It's habits, right?
Yeah.
Because the habits will take over when the motivation is not there. And motivation is a feeling, and I don't do stuff over feeling. So if I have a mantra that is sweat every day, and my rule is never go more than 2 days. So I will never go more than 2 days in a row not doing it. So I'm okay missing a day, right? Travel day or whatever, but never more than 2 days in a row because that's where you start the decline. So what's an interesting concept for people to consider is if they've ever lost in some part of their life, there was a day where they made a bad decision that started the downward spiral. So there was a day, and you'll never know what day it is. You might have an approximation, but there was a moment where you should have went left, instead you went right. And you should have went to the gym, instead you decided to go see your friend, or you should have did this, but instead you made this decision, and it started a downward spiral until it gets bad enough where you go, okay, I got to stop this and come back. If you can just not start the spiral and stay sideways and make wins, like I had this realization once, even with my weight, was if I'm heavy but I'm maintaining, then I can be light and maintain.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I could get ripped and just maintain that, and that'll be my new norm, because it's not like I'm not maintaining an upper level. It's just I didn't go down to what it could have been on my weight or my bank account or whatever. So that's the big thing is most people prioritize the business because they're so worried about failing that they don't realize that the daily movement actually helps the business. So most people that are in the fitness program end up making, I know I made a lot more money because it's a cognitive overhead of trying to think about stuff, decision fatigue, energy levels. You don't have the energy. It's clarity, mental clarity. I mean, on the cleanse, it was so crazy. The mental part of the response to the cleanse actually that was the thing that really caught me off guard.
It was like the lights went on.
It was weird.
Yeah.
I was like, I felt connected to source. I was like, what is going on? I called my buddies. I was like, is this normal? And one of my buddies, Jason, says, well, Jesus did go in the desert and fasted for 40 days. I was like, oh, like food does have an ability to affect our connection to spirit. Yeah. So that was
so powerful.
Yeah. That's where, again, people think they're like, oh, a guy yesterday, I was speaking at an event in the Q&A. He asked me, he goes, you know, sometimes I focus on the dollar, not on the pounds. And I was like, dude, you'll make more dollars if you focus on the pounds. Like I'm richer because
Yeah.
I decided to release the extra, the heaviness, the living in a fog, the bad decisions, right? And confidence comes from being consistent in commitments you make. So when we do things we know other people don't do, that's when we build confidence. If we're just living life the way our neighbors and our friends live life, then it's hard for us to build confidence because we're just doing what everybody else does. So there's no reinforcement of abnormal behavior that other people are judging us for that we're willing to do. Because you know this, as soon as you start doing this, people go, what are you doing? What are you doing? I mean, sometimes I'm like, I don't want to have this conversation again, you know?
I said no to the meal last night on my flight out.
Yeah,
And
the stewardess
else
like,
is
are
like,
you sure? Can I get you
can
something else?
can we
Yeah.
No, thank you. I'll have a glass of water
Yeah.
and a black coffee,
I'm
please.
so good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you so much, but no.
Yeah.
And even those little micro moments of seeing everyone else get a meal and my choice to just stay aligned to what I'm choosing was it was a bit of a dopamine hit.
It should be. Let's just acknowledge you're in first class or business class. You get a meal. You paid for it. Everybody else got the meal. Everybody else
glass of wine
or two
risotto.
or three or four. Yeah, dessert comes 100%. Snack comes around with their little chocolate bars and stuff. 100%. They're grabbing 3 or 4 for later. And you sit there and you don't, and they all look at you and go, I should have. That's probably what the decision I should have made, but I didn't. It's respect because they know better. There's no and the airplane food is literally the worst food in the history of the universe of foods.
Not even food.
It's not. It's salt squares of stuff.
It so is.
Yeah.
I love it. We could talk about physical fitness and the identity of who you have to become in order to release, not lose. That's a language shift for me, which is where we're going. And that's this mental horsepower in the belief system that I witness week over week. You catch myself and those who you coach in their language around belief. I want to talk to you about the power of language. Why is it so important to be mindful and choose language that is in alignment with where we're trying to go?
Oh my gosh. There's a lot of levels to this, but at the highest level, if we just break it into first principles, first off, you can't hit a target you can't see. Right. Okay. So first off, we have to have clarity of vision. Most people do not have clarity of vision. They have a life they want to make better, but that's about as much as they're willing to even say out loud. I would like to have more money. I would like to be healthier. I would like to be happier. But there's no definition. They haven't decided with clarity. They can't describe what they're trying to create. My philosophy there is if you can describe your future to the same specificity you can describe your present, then you have clarity. Okay? I'll get to why the power of the word is so important. So we got to start with like, what are we trying to create? It's visual. I can see it and I can describe it and I can be specific about it. Then it's the belief in the creation. See, we all have these moments where a lot of times when I'm flying, when I'm post-workout, where I have this sense of confidence and opportunity for what I can create and expansiveness and I can connect the dots. But unfortunately, for some people, it'll only last 30 minutes. It'll only last the flight, right? And then when they land, they have an email or a conversation that throws them off, and then they get into the self-doubt. Yeah. So that, to me, is the belief. And then the third part, so we want to have 100% clarity, 100% belief. And then third part is time. 100% of the time, you want to have the clarity and the belief and hold it. Even if you just did that, that would be good, but it wouldn't solve the creation problem. You wouldn't be able to create it because the way we activate that is through words. So we actually speak our future into existence. It's always been the case. It's never not been the case. You tell me any person you admire and we can watch them talk and you will see them speak their future into existence. You've seen Conor McGregor do it, Michael Jordan do it, Kobe Bryant, literally even actors, Jim Carrey do it, Oprah do it. Like you name the person you admire, The Rock, like they speak their achievements out. Gary Vee, what does he want to buy?
He wants
the
to
Jets.
buy the Jets.
Everybody knows this. I have no doubt one day he's going to get the Jets. Yeah. And that is why words matter. So words matter to create, and then words matter to define us. See, we play into our labels, and unfortunately, most of us play into the labels that we were given. We didn't choose them. Right. So if we understand the power of our language to define our container or our labels, then we can start creating mantras, right? Yeah. Like Project 215 or Project Visible Abs, like use language to define the outcomes and repeat it. Like it's literally auto-hypnotic. Like we want to hypnotize ourselves into the belief of the achievement by repeating these words, these mantras, these affirmations, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
but they're words, and you want to also speak them out loud to your team, your friends, your family, so that everybody gets on board. Like my dad this morning, he goes, "You working on your next book?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "When's it going to come out?" I said, "January 17th, 2026. And he just laughed. He goes, "Geez, that's very specific." And I said, "Well, of course." He goes, "Oh, well, that might be nice." I said, "Well, might be nice. It will be nice, and it will happen." And he's just like, "Man, you don't let me get away with anything." I said, "No, because I need you to understand, like, everything matters. And again, you don't have to believe in me, but I know you didn't even consciously mean to say that might be nice."
We're so conditioned. It's just like a pattern. We speak in these ways that you
protect yourself from failure.
Yeah.
It's literally language to protect yourself from failure.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Might, should, could, would be, all that language is, I'm not committing to it, because if I commit to it and I don't do it, you're going to think I'm not somebody that does what I say. And that is 100% your story. And it might be, but it doesn't matter. I would much rather call my shot, miss my shot by 20% or a few months, or even a year, or even 5. I honestly don't care. I would rather call my shot with specificity and confidence than to do it from a place of fear and doubt and uncertainty.
Amen. Love that. When we're up leveling, I have found in these moments of transformation, or I can feel this next level of myself coming online, I'll get those little ankle biter, like old stories, old paradigms, old bullshit that shows up that is like, "You sure you want to get on that plane and do this podcast with Dan Martell?"
Mm-hmm.
That's big. That was like a dream. That was on your list a year ago. And these little ankle biter thoughts show up. I'm curious for you, how do you work through those moments of transformation when you're up leveling? You've maybe never been to this place before. How do you find certainty in that?
Yeah, I mean, this happens to me every day, because the vision I have for my life is massive, and everything I'm about to go do is stuff I've never done before. And to most people, when they hear it, especially if it's in a new domain, like the media stuff, like when I decided I want to be top 5 in the world, people are like, "I like you, Dan, but so
let me give you some feedback."
Yeah, do you realize what that means, and what that, and honestly, what's going to mean to your life, and do you really want that, and all that stuff? And what it requires, unfortunately, is for you to go long periods of time being misunderstood. And that's where a lot of people have a hard time. So it's long periods of time being misunderstood by other people, which is scary, because then there's the judgment stuff.
People pleasing, seeking approval.
Oh, I got my buddy the other day says, "You're a dick." That was a dick move, because I canceled something that I committed to 6 months prior when I didn't have enough context. My life was uncertain. I told him that, and I actually gave him an alternative that I think is better, and still call me a dick move. But the reason why is he doesn't understand why I'm saying no to that opportunity. I'm saying yes to something that's going to make it. And the funny part is when you win, everybody will remind people that they knew you. So it's like, I know he's like, "That's a dick move." And then when I win, he'll be like, "Dan's my buddy.
Dan's my buddy.
He's my buddy."
Gonna text him right now.
Yeah,
say,
look,
"Great
see,
job."
look at the text messages, me and Dan. So, unfortunately, it takes a while for that to be something you can truly believe. But the uncertainty for me comes into I don't want to mess this up. The pressure of performance, right? So I had one of my kind of like bucket list, vision board things came true about 6 months ago, where I got invited to speak on Tony Robbins' stage.
That was wild.
That is wild.
You were on Elite, I think, hours after you got the email.
Oh, yeah. That's the thing about my Elite program. It's real time Dan. So it's
we get the full spectrum
100%.
of Dan.
This just
happened.
Here's where my life's at, and here's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And that was 8 years in the making. That was 8 years of a belief, and said out loud publicly, thousands of times. Wow. Thousands of times. I would tell my team, I'd tell my friends, this will happen, this will happen, this will happen. And I'm okay holding that belief, because for me, it provides alignment. Yeah. And I think that a lot of people, because they don't have alignment, they have a hard time making progress. So alignment equals acceleration. Okay. So literally, if I have clarity, most people, the reason why they're in a slump, they don't have clarity.
Agreed.
Oh, when you came last year, when you came to work with me, okay, here's what we're looking at. Let's get clarity.
Yeah.
If you walk away with a clear plan, most people can execute around, okay, this is 100% aligned, 100%. And what I want to do, I can do it.
Yep.
It's when it's
decision
uncertainty.
Fatigue and making those
I just don't know. Is this the right decision? Like a lot of people I work with are very successful. And the
Yeah.
challenge is because they can do anything, it's hard to pick one.
That's right.
Most people don't have an issue with it because they only have one option. So this is what they're going to do. So that fear of performance was what happened when I remember before I got on stage. So the way I resolve it, and I go there several times a day, is I just remind myself of I have faith. So because I have faith, you know, I say this often on social where, you know, your belief in yourself is a reflection of your belief in God. And that, like, some people don't get it. It's like, you can't tell me you have a belief in God and then tell me you have self-doubt, because self-doubt, if you were created in his image, you were created with his energy, you were created with his availability. Like, he literally says, give me your biggest problems.
Yeah.
Give them to me. I'll deal with them. I lean on him all the time. I'm like, hey man, can you take on this? Can you, like, this is a weird one. I don't even know how to deal with that. Can you deal with that? I'm going to go this way. So when I have those fears, I stop making it about myself and I start making it about other people. That literally evaporates
that paradigm shift in itself
It
is
evaporates
a gift you have given me and others in this elite program, that there's so many moments I catch myself in self-sabotage or bullshit stories or these little ankle biter thoughts. Like, isn't it interesting? We're just making it about you again.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I'm being
almost
selfish.
Like, wow.
You just
there
have
it
to tell
is.
yourself you're being selfish right now.
Yeah.
This is not about you.
That's right.
And it's not about me. And I've been given this opportunity, the skills, etc., to do this, to serve the people on the other side of the camera, in the audience, whatever. Yeah. And that's what I'm here to do.
Who are sitting at home on a Saturday night waiting
and
for your message.
And they need you. They need you because, like, we all have those people. And some people are like, I only have 12 followers. It's like, those 12 need you.
100%.
They followed you for a reason.
Your voice, the way you say
it's very
it's
unique.
Different.
Yeah. It's like, my buddy's like, why would I talk about this when anybody can talk about this? I go, that's like saying there's enough country songs written, nobody has to write any more songs. Like, the world needs your interpretation of a message through your lens on the world. And that is 100% like a fingerprint, unique to you.
Yeah. Love that. Love that. Let's talk about the emotional layer. You did it here in the podcast. Like, you have such a gift of being able to drop in and feel feelings and be courageous enough, vulnerable enough to show those feelings. I find so many protect themselves in stoicism or behind masks. I've definitely seen myself do that too. I'm curious for you. I sense, my experience of you is you have a very regulated nervous system.
Cool.
And I'm actually curious where that comes from, how you emote and feel and just hold space for that in your life.
I've never been asked that question. Well, I definitely, I've done like 27 years of therapy.
Yeah.
So, you know, even more, because I mean, I first did family therapy when I was probably 11 or 12. I'm 44, so that's a long time. So I've gotten to a place where I don't dismiss feelings. Like, I just sit with them. And because my philosophy is more about being curious around things, I don't react to them. So if a feeling comes up and I'm thinking about how grateful I am that you respond the way, and it is gratitude. It's not tears of, like, it's literally like, fuck yeah. You know what I mean? Like, just happiness. Cause again, I love the people I coach, but what I get most excited about is the people you'll serve. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of funny. Cause, like, again, I can love the individual I'm working with, but I'm so pumped for everybody on the back end that's going to be on the receiving end of them discovering this for themselves. So, yeah, I just, you know, it's a double-edged sword. So I would say on the negative side, if I feel angry, frustrated, etc., I try to be curious about that and not react. Okay. I usually go to a question, which is, how can I appreciate even more God's grace and guidance in this moment? That's my go-to. Mm-hmm. That's my primary question. That's how I live my life. Yeah.
I'm gonna let that anchor. We're human, right? There's going to be moments where we get triggered.
I'm so human. Anybody that thinks I'm like special, I laugh. I'm like, I'm not that special. I'm just normal. I just on a
skateboard in his office.
Yeah, I was doing kickflips.
He's normal.
I'm just so, yeah. Like, I am 100% who I am. Cameras on, cameras off, whatever. Yeah. Like, that's why we started the vlog, just so that people could really see the behind the scenes. Like, there's no editing. I see the videos after they go live.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Like, the team and I, every time there's a publish,
that's so cool.
It's in the calendar. We sit down and I watch it with the rest of the team first time. I don't review or approve anything that goes out on all my social channels.
That's why you have Sam.
Yeah, I have Sam and the rest of the team.
No,
and,
I know.
And it's because I don't want anybody to ever meet. Again, my personality. And again, I'm like, where does that come from? My childhood, because like it all eventually comes back to a moment that created, like, we are a byproduct of our history. So even my desire for people to know Dan, the authentic person, is based on something where I don't want to feel alone or rejected. So again, my desire is when people to meet me to go, oh, this is who I thought he would be. Because every time I've met somebody and I thought they'd be a certain way and they weren't, it was just jarring. Now, again, that's not even like, if somebody did feel that, and it happens sometimes where they catch me off guard, or they actually think I'm a certain way, and then they see Dan act a certain, like, silly or swear or tell a joke that's inappropriate or whatever, just because maybe they didn't see that on social. Like, I had somebody quit because I said fuck in a call.
Oh, somebody's going to quit this podcast. We said fuck already.
Okay,
here.
but it was so fascinating because I'm like, how did you even get on this team?
How'd you make it through the interview process?
Yeah, how did you not see that on my social? So I even told Sam, it's like, hey, dude, let's stop bleep. We bleep, but we go mute. I said, stop muting the bleeps because people don't realize I swore.
Got it.
See the difference?
Yeah.
I'd rather you bleep it.
I hear it. And
yeah, I hear, oh, Dan,
yeah.
he said a bad word.
Yeah, yeah.
I wonder what word he used. Because that's what you think when you hear a bleep. You're like, was that an S or an F, or, you know what I mean? Because then people will be like, oh, he's somebody who swears. If we have to bleep the swear, I'd rather not. But it's kind of interesting, like that authenticity, that ability to be with my feelings, it's just something that I continue to be. Because, like, I've learned that you want to get into this, you asked.
Yeah, let's
okay?
go. I'm
all
here for
suffering is self-inflicted.
Yeah.
All suffering is self-inflicted and is due to an attachment of a desired outcome that didn't happen, good or bad. So if I create space when there's a trigger, good or bad, and I'm allowed to be an observant, like I'm an observer to the emotion, and some of it, and a lot of us, we hold our emotions in our body, and I can feel that and just be okay with it. Because me deciding to just be in the feeling and not worry about judgment or concern or what somebody gonna think of me of this, or like, because I don't think that. I don't want to think that. Like, if somebody watches this and they're like, man, that guy's weird, cool. That's your story. It literally has nothing to do with who I am. Yeah. And I know that. It's like I always joke, haters are just confused fans.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's not me. They're not mad at me. Like, you gotta understand, they followed me. I don't follow them. They left a comment on my stuff. I don't comment on their stuff. Like, somewhere in their soul, they are not happy to the point where what I said triggered them, and they felt like I had to defend a belief that they have for whatever reason. And, I just laugh because every once in a while, those confused fans become super fans. They literally do. I have so many examples of people who are like, I don't agree with this, and da-da-da, and who are you, and how'd you get on my page? And then 3 months later, they're like,
where can I sign up?
I love this. Oh, yeah. I love this. You're the best. You put out the best content. I'm like, cool. Because, again, you can't judge somebody on one dimension of a fuller picture.
And I love that you're showcasing all the sides of you.
We try. It's literally, you see that over there? It's written on the thing. I just noticed that.
The themes of your life. Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, and just like make sure it's always present, because like some people are new to my stuff, and if we forget to put the other stuff, they don't know. Like, and that is actually an interesting thing as a content creator, is the recency bias is real. Yeah. Oh yeah, people will find you and then look at your last 3 or 4 videos.
And now everyone wants to know what you're doing fitness-wise.
Yep.
Because that's what's
going
on right now.
And it's there. So we got to make sure we put out the business stuff. We got to put the other stuff. We got to, so it's like people, literally I meet them, and if they're new to me, they'll just go look at the last 3 things. So you just got to make sure that there's always the rotation of all aspects.
That's cool. That's awesome. Yeah. I love that. Well, thank you for sharing. It's something that, I've just witnessed, and I was curious to just get your philosophy and how did you get there in terms of this understanding your emotions, sitting with your emotions. That's how I experience it, is you can sit in it and not become it. And it's really an interesting observation that I've seen.
I will tell you, I had an unfair advantage when I was in rehab at 16. Every cleanup, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, we partnered with another resident, and we shared, either they shared their story or I shared my life story. So I had, and I didn't know this at the time, I had, I was there for 11 months, times 3, that's all, times 30 times 3. That's a whole lot of conversations, listening to somebody's life story or sharing your life story. So I got really comfortable having other people break down, like literally in the middle of mopping the floor or doing the dishes in the back Hobart thing. And like, they're just, they're sharing some of their deepest wounds at 16. So I didn't realize at the time that I was doing a lot of that work until I got into business, and I would see people overreact, and I would just sit back and go, well, that's fascinating. They have no idea that they just literally lost the deal because of their response. And I just sit there in the storm. And so that is an unfair advantage. I got that many reps, but then I continued to do the work for the last 30 years.
That's it. I love it. Speaking of, let's go spiritual. We've talked a little bit about your faith and how you go there in moments that feel big for you.
Yeah.
We're talking about Tony Robbins, and I know before you went on, you said a prayer, or you really sunk into your heart to say, like, what do I need to be saying? I stole that one this morning. I was like, you know what? Let's just flow. Let's come onto this podcast and say what needs to be said, connect with who needs to be connected to. I'm so curious how spirituality and knowing that there's something greater than you has played a role into this version of Dan.
Oh, man. This is a big topic.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a few kind of like mental models or blueprints on the world I would encourage people to double click on. The first one is there is no time. You asked.
No, I'm there with you.
Okay. So like, even as you say before this or Tony Robbins or whatever, what I believe in is that it all just happened. It's now, right? There was no past. There is no future. These are mental constructs that our memory makes. They play games. Like, there's literally just now. So from a faith point of view, I kind of zoom out, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's where a lot of people either don't understand that this is so impermanent. Sometimes I like to use the word charade. Life's a charade, because I think it's the right language. Yeah. We take it so seriously, like so serious. Like, that person didn't reply to my email fast enough. They must hate me or whatever. They'll like tell you a story, or like, I didn't get this, or the deal fell through. The client fired me, and it's just like the end of the world.
The world is ending.
And I'm like, can we just zoom out, to the fact that there is no time, and we're on a spaceship flying through this black galaxy with no windshield on.
We're a speck of dust and a speck of dust. And yeah.
Yes. It doesn't change the fact that if you stab yourself in the hand, it's going to hurt. So I get that. Like, there's a reality to the physical, and there is the now, and there's certain things that will feel pain. But my faith allows me to really create separation from the physical body and the mental pain that is self-inflicted, and this is one of the greatest gifts I will leave my kids. It's not money. It's not love. It's not anything other than the awareness that their emotions that they feel are chosen. And that's a crazy one, because like, most adults haven't figured this out, but my kids have heard me and sometimes believe me. And sometimes I see them actually choose that nobody made them mad. Nobody did anything. They chose to associate that response, that feeling. They chose their feelings. Right. And faith gives me that ability to like zoom out and go in the pure like nowness of pure spirit. It's nothing but love, and every, religious text, it's God is love and love and love, love. So in the unlimited soul, not the limited being, but in the soul, we're all love. So anything that is not that is technically made up. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how I use it to allow me to continue to dream and create and love everybody. Like, everybody, like even somebody that does me wrong, I don't put myself in a position to have that happen again, but I definitely don't talk crap about them. And I do wish their soul 100% like that they figure it out. You know what I mean? So like, I don't allow that moment to impact the way I am, because it's actually kind of silly if I do, because I believe in something bigger. That's
right. I love it. I always break it down to, I go back a lot of the times to this context of it's coming from a place of love or fear.
Yeah.
And
if it's fear because they haven't done the work to figure out that it's just them making themselves scared, and that's how they reacted, and it's not their fault. They just, like, I literally give them grace all the time.
That's it. And that's where even this whole concept of, kind of the text, which is called A Course in Miracles. It's something I studied kind of a decade ago.
Yeah.
as I was moving through my own personal story of being diagnosed with a brain tumor and just getting really curious about life and energy and impermanence and what is this all really for, that's where I really connected in spiritually. And likely always knew I had some gifts to connect in. I think we all do. And,
every
and
person.
it just tuned up. I just really cranked up that
Well,
tune.
well, death is one of the most beautiful forcing functions
That's
to
right.
actually get us clear on that. Like I think it's so funny. I have this quote I've been working on. I have not posted. I have a note file with all the stuff I want to say eventually. And it's this one I'm trying to work on. It's something around that people are trying to convince you all the time that you'll live forever so they can sell you stuff. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because if you believe that tomorrow was your last day, you probably wouldn't run out and just buy more things to make yourself feel better. You would go do things
With people you love.
Yeah, you would.
Like, it's experience.
Yeah, you would experience life. You would literally allow yourself to be happy, to go into the wilderness, to go travel the world, to quit your job, whatever it is. And it's kind of like, to me, all religious texts, like pretty much the last 4 years now, I've only read books around mindset and spirituality. I don't read business books. Like I wrote one. Like I appreciate all my friends that have written these books. But I don't need to read those anymore because I realize for me, that's not where the next level for me is going to come from. Learning another marketing strategy, I'll learn that just from being friends with people, but I don't need to read books around that. I need to really study the top books that have ever been written to really understand the context so that I can, again, emotionally regulate and not create emotional shrapnel and just be available.
Like that's it. That's for me. That's when I say becoming that.
Yeah.
That's the, it's such a beautiful shift. I have witnessed in my own life. I'm curious about yours, where for so long I was striving to be, right? And it was, I'm going to do this and therefore I'll receive something. So it was a lot of do to receive. And I'm in this shift of life in the last decade, which is, what if I was just to be? And by being, I could also receive. And it's this interesting paradigm shift.
It's not what if.
It is.
It is. It's the enoughness.
Yeah.
Most people give me a list of goals they want to achieve because after that, then they'll feel like they're worthy. And I'm like, can we do that first?
Yes.
And then from that place, we create.
Amen.
And that's the game, right? It's, can you get to a place where you need nothing? It scares people when to think about it, you know? Like literally, there's nothing you need to feel the way you want to feel. And then from there, you're not going to lay on a beach and stare at the sky, right? You're going to want to create, but you're creating from a place of expansion and desire to contribute and serve other people, not from a place of lack. And that's the big shift. Most people are like, well, that's nice for you to say. It's like, no, you can say it too. You can choose. Like, it's so crazy because it's all these fears. It's like, you can quit your job. You can move to another city. You can choose a different part. You can do all this stuff. I'm not saying you're not going to upset other people, but you got to understand that's your attachment to their reaction being a certain way. It's a desired outcome that I don't control other people. I'll take their opinion in consideration. I want to make sure I show up to support them, but I'm not going to put myself second to that because that's not expansive. The most important thing we could all do in the world is just express ourselves to the highest level to inspire other people to do the same.
Love it. Do you think people need, I've been curious about this, do you think people need to experience like a dark soul of the night moment in order to recalibrate? And I say it because my story is, you know, achievement oriented, like high level athlete, took that into business, became an executive at 28, had the car, had the things, and felt utterly empty. And a week later was diagnosed with a brain tumor and was like, what the fuck is this all about?
Yeah.
And that moment and the learnings that came through that moment are helping me become who I am today and will continue to help me frame who I'm becoming. And I question sometimes, like, I think my personality, who I am, needed the 2x4 across the head to wake up.
Yeah.
And I don't know that everyone does or everyone's journey is, but I'm curious because you've lived through some adversity.
Yeah.
I'm curious your thoughts there.
I think you nailed it where you said, I needed that.
Yeah.
So what I've discovered, again, this is where I'm sitting with this today, because I used to think this for my kids. You know, I grew up in adversity and I became who I have. And if I want my kids to, you know, be as well, then they have to go through their adversity.
Yeah.
And then it occurred to me when they were little in kindergarten that the world will do the job will do it for me. Like, I don't have to bring them in the middle of the woods, you know, at 10 years old and say, find your way home.
Yeah.
Okay. Or send them on a escapade. So it turns out the world will give you what you need. The only difference is, will the person actually see that? Because you saw that. But there's a lot of people that get the cancer diagnosis and don't do what you did. Yeah. See what I'm saying? So I don't think they need a dark night of the soul. I think they just need to have something, because, like, again, it's literally person by person. I believe every soul is here to do the work. It's divine assignments. Mm-hmm. If you don't choose to do it, then that's up to you. But there's a possibility for a beautiful life if you want to. And I don't wish negative things on anybody. And I believe that some people, just through their simple existence, right, of going through life, of a person not looking them in the eye, they tell, like, literally, a long time ago, I had a team member say to me, because I didn't say hi when I walked into the office, that he felt I didn't like him. Mm. There's a ton of people. And it was interesting because it never occurred to me that that would be the case. Because what I thought to myself is, if I say hi to the whole room, what does that do? Interrupts them, stops them, everybody. I'm the boss, I'm the CEO. Mm-hmm. Like, I took that responsibility serious, and I'm like, I shouldn't do that. Mm-hmm. And they thought that. So it could be so subtle, but imagine that moment for them puts them in a tailspin of, my boss doesn't like me, nobody talks to me, I eat lunch by myself, I don't have a girlfriend, I don't have friends, you know, I go home to my thing, play video games, and I just don't think I should maybe, you know, breathe the air anymore. Like, you never know what something so subtle as that could be. So I don't think it has to be as profound. I think that everybody's going to have their version of it. Right. And it's just like, you know, I don't want my kids, I don't want to create negative core memories you know, these moments where my kids have to go to therapy. I realize they're going to therapy.
They're going to therapy.
They're there. Like, you zero, you can do. You got no control over that. You can do everything right and look the other way when they fall and hit their head on something sharp and they think mom or dad didn't pay attention.
That's right.
So you got no control over that. And I think it's the same concept for everybody. It's just, are you awoken enough to realize that was your sign? Yeah. Right? It's just like when you're in a relationship and you're like, that person sucks, and you like leave them, and then another person comes in, they look different. And it's like, that person's doing the same thing, that person. That's just the world giving you these assignments. And if you don't want to do it, you'll just keep getting it.
Love that. Thanks for going there with me. I was curious to pick your brain on that one. You always say to us every day on the Elite Mastermind, you'll say, what we're doing here is to become the 10.0 version of yourself and share it with the world. Yeah. What's next for you?
It's literally just more of what I'm doing. Yeah. So media stuff, you know, we have a desire to be top 5 in the world. So that will take a long time, you know, decade plus.
You got a book, January 17th, 2026.
2026. Yeah, that'll be likely. There's a few book concepts I'm working on. But yeah, that'll be kind of the follow-up to Buy Back Your Time. But it's, I mean, there's like specific stuff. Martell Ventures, like most, and I talked to Sam about this, like, I really want to showcase more of the business side of my life. Unfortunately, it doesn't pair well with the internet side. So like the deep technical business stuff I do, I'm about to close on a $60 million 4-company acquisition that I would love to show people the technical details of it and the contracts and negotiation. It turns out it doesn't make interesting YouTube content. So people are like, yeah, I would watch it. No, you would watch it, but not the other 300,000 people. So we're trying to play the game of the broad and deep. So it's kind of an interesting thing. So that stuff I bring to my elite calls and my private clients or whatever. So yeah, we're just, there's a desire obviously to just, here's what I know. I will never not create. I want to create with people I admire. To the degree I can find people that I admire to create with, I will create. There's an unlimited amount of opportunity in this world. I am my only limitation. I throttle that with obviously my desire to be an incredible husband and a world-class dad and, you know, family member. And I think that I'm just getting going. Like, I'm literally not, there's more gears to what I'm doing. And that's the game. That's like, I just want to figure out, you know what, every time I choose a goal, it's always to grow. That's my philosophy. Choose the goal to grow me. So I'm trying to pick goals. Even Sam the other day helped me kind of go left instead of right, because again, it was a goal. It would have been great. But it's like, when you look at the top of the ladder, is that leaning against the right wall? It's like, oh, you're right. No. Okay, let's not do that. So it's, again, I run in the same stuff. I work with my coach on these same questions of like, okay, I've got these 3 options. Which one's aligned with the 25-year, the 10-year kind of vision? And I'm totally cool cutting my losses and doing a U-turn if I discover it's the wrong decision with zero. That's the thing. I laugh every day. This is real. Every day. I was talking to my brother. We're literally driving to work out. I've got, one supercar. He's driving my other supercar. And we grew up in...
Call it Transformers. Every time I see Sam put a video of you guys
Yeah.
out, I'm like, I'm just waiting for them to transform. And
They should. Yeah.
that's next level.
Yeah. We'll see if we can figure that out. And that's fun is another part of my philosophy is just like, I want to have fun too. I care more about having fun than the results, but I want both to be true.
And they can be.
They can be, and they do.
Dan, thank you.
My pleasure.
Spending time with me, taking this, opportunity just to sit down and letting me speak what's on my heart and ask you the questions I've always been interested to ask you.
You were incredible. Thank you so much.
I love you deeply. Thank you for being here. Thanks for being my coach. And
you make it easy, Jackie. Appreciate you.
All right. We'll see you guys next time on the Jackie Server Show.